Hi everyone. Thanks for your interest in wildlife corridor conservation in Tanzania. My name is Dan Evans. I'm pleased to be giving this presentation on behalf of RTI International and one of RTI's key partners, the Southern Tanzania Elephant Program, aka STEP. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge my co-authors, Trevor Jones and Joseph Malagelo from STEP, and Joseph Rolila from RTI. I also want to thank our funder and conservation partner, the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID office in Tanzania. Tanzania is world famous for wildlife and wild landscapes. It has one of the largest elephant populations in Africa and an extensive network of protected areas comprising more than 38% of the country's total land area. Tanzania is also developing rapidly. In the last 20 years, its economic growth rate has been about 6%, and its annual population growth rate has been about 3%. Today, Tanzania has about 60 million people. Approximately 70% of the population lives in rural areas. Most are farmers and livestock keepers. Rapid economic and population growth, especially in rural areas, is fragmenting Tanzania's natural habitats as people build infrastructure and convert land for settlements and agriculture. Protected areas are becoming more isolated, and conflicts between people and wildlife are increasing. Elephants following historical migration routes now regularly encounter farms and villages where they often damage crops and threaten people. RTI and its partners are working to address these problems by promoting wildlife corridor conservation. Corridors not only benefit wildlife and fragmented landscapes by facilitating large-scale movements such as migration, dispersal, and climate-driven range shifts, corridors also can help reduce human-wildlife conflicts by providing safe passage for wildlife through routes that are separate from villages, farms, and other human-dominated landscapes. At the policy level, RTI supported Tanzania's government to develop corridor regulations under Tanzania's Wildlife Conservation Act. Approved in 2018, these regulations call for Tanzania's government to assess, prioritize, and designate wildlife corridors as conservation areas. On the ground, RTI's partnership with STEP is focused on restoring a wildlife corridor in the Kilombero Valley, a region of intensive agriculture that separates two biologically rich ecosystems, the Selous and the Adzungwa Mountains. The aerial image shown here has the proposed corridor outlined in red. STEP's project area includes 6 villages. The farmers' primary crops are rice and sugarcane, and this region is also part of a historical elephant migration route between the Selous and Adzungwa ecosystems. Despite the intensive agriculture, elephants still frequently move through the area. Unfortunately, they also eat and damage farmers' crops and threaten people. This map shows locations where elephants caused crop damage in the project area between October 2018 and February 2020. The corridor that STEP is working to restore will help mitigate these conflicts. It will be 12.8 kilometers long and 150 meters wide, and STEP will restore the corridor to natural habitat. The corridor will be fenced along its entire length, and STEP has already placed beehive fences in much of the forest edge habitat to funnel elephants into the corridor from the forests on either side. These beehive fences consist of metal cables with suspended wooden boxes containing beehives. When elephants bump into the fence and jostle a beehive, it prompts bees to come out and drive the elephants away. To build support for this corridor, STEP is working intensively with community members, including village councils, to develop village land use plans that conserve the corridor, and landowners, farmers, and land assessors to survey land parcels and assess their value to compensate landowners when they agree to the corridor. STEP also leads community development programs, including conservation education programs in local schools, and livelihood programs that help farmers increase their income. For example, the bees in the beehive fences produce honey, and STEP works with villagers to collect, process, and sell the honey in local markets. To help make the case that the corridor is necessary and confirm that it will be sited in the right location, STEP monitors elephant abundance, distribution, and activity in the corridor area. Highlighted in yellow on this map are transects where STEP regularly surveys for elephant dung. Further, STEP has deployed camera traps along the forest edges where the proposed corridor will meet the forest. And STEP monitors not only the locations where elephants damage crops, we've seen this map already, but also the frequency of these incidents to assess progress mitigating conflicts. For example, this graph shows the number of days when elephants caused crop damage and the number of farms affected in the project area between January 2019 and May 2020. Although STEP hasn't yet tested this hypothesis, the reduction in the number of farms with crop losses might be attributed to the recent installation of beehive fences in the area. RTI and STEP have been working in partnership now for almost 2 years. In that time, STEP has made great progress building support for the corridor among affected communities, including gaining support from village leaders and agreements from most landowners to sell their land. Key next steps include completing the village land use planning process to conserve the corridor, assessing the value of remaining land parcels and negotiating with remaining landowners, and working with national government officials to explore the feasibility of designating the corridor as a conservation area under Tanzania's corridor regulations. Hey, thanks again for your interest.